So yeah, this was a very difficult task, ranking every single solo Beatles album from best to worst. And now I'm just going to say something which will put this in a bit more perspective. There were 55 albums here. 55 albums here. This is going to be my biggest least to best video to date. So hello and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. Now then, this is a big one. This is a very big video. I have taken all 55 solo Beatles album releases here and I have ranked them from least to best. And it was challenging. It was very challenging. And this video here I have actually tried to film so many times over the course of about, I don't know, last year. I've literally put these albums all in orders. I filmed this video about 4 times over the last year, and every time I've never been happy with the list, I've never been happy with the results, so I've scrapped the video. And I woke up this morning and I saw a video which really inspired me to give it another go. And hopefully this time, this video will succeed and it will end up on my channel. So I'm going to give a shout out to me, Mr. Mayo. Mr. Joe. Hey Joe, how you doing? Now everyone knows Joe is, of course, king of the Beatles. When it comes to the Beatles here in the PC, you go to Joe, you go to me, Mr. Mayo. And he did a video ranking his top 10 solo Beatles albums. And I thought, yeah, that's a great video. I was really interested in that, see which ones made the top 10, and I loved your list, Joe, it was brilliant. And actually, we're not too far off, as you'll see, when we get to my top 10 here. But it was like, yeah, and, you know, I left him a nice comment, and he gave me a nice comment back, saying, you know, it'd be good to see your take on this. And I thought, I should really pick up that idea I had of doing all 55 and redo it. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do the top 10 in here, Joe, but we're also going to do the other 45 albums as well. Jeez. Also want to give another couple shout-outs to some other people who've done some great solo Beatle lists. Matthew Smith, who I believe was the first one to do one ages back when everyone got on a kick of doing each individual solo Beatles member. And then we got Vinyl Collector James, who done a great one for his Paul McCartney collection. And then Ross Goodall. Ross Goodall is kind of the king of top 10 solo Beatles lists. If you go over to his channel, he's got some great ones, not just on albums, not just on the individual artists, but like he's got some like top 10 Paul McCartney ballads, Paul McCartney acoustic songs. So, you know, Ross Goodall, you know, you get the crown to top 10 lists for solo Beatles, especially Paul McCartney. But anyway, as I say, I haven't done a least to best list in a while now. The last one I'd done, I think, what was the last one I'd done? I think it might have been either my redo of the Electric Light Orchestra or my Eric Clapton one, which I'm also thinking of redoing. I think that must have been the last one. Unless I'm missing something, which I probably am. Ah, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I have been thinking about redoing some of my solo Beatles albums in quite a while as well. So it's like, maybe I should redo my Paul list or my George list. I'm going to cover it all here. So anyway, 55 albums, we are going from least to best. Now then, this order is not set in stone. This is just for how I'm thinking right now. So I know some people are going to be like, hang on, how can you put that over that? It's like, well, this is just how I'm feeling right now. It's just my opinion. I know people are going to disagree. And you're more than welcome to share your opinion down in the comments below. Be like, hey, Rock Boy, you know, cool video, whatever. Just say whatever you want to make me feel better. But say, hey, you were dead wrong about this. This album's better. If you feel that way, fair enough. Let me know in the comments below. Also, one more thing before we get started. Some of you are going to say, so I'm going to say now, McCartney's debut album does get higher than John Lennon's Double Fantasy on here. But Double Fantasy got a higher score on my album reviews, my album ranking boards. Scores do not matter here. That is just me judging an album. That is me saying, well, this is a good song, and then adding all the scores up and whatever. You guys know how my reviews work. This is for pure entertainment value. Sure, the album might not be as good as Lennon's one. You know, the songs on John's albums are a lot more heavily produced. They have a lot more of a catchy sound. But do they, you know, make me feel as good as Maybe I'm Amazed or Ooh You? Not all the tracks do. So for some reasons, you know, the scores on... I have only reviewed about 5 solo Beatles albums, I think, on that list. But the scores do not matter here. So anyway, I said that was the last thing before we get started, but I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to have a quick drink. Yeah, make sure. There we go. Just make sure my mouth ain't too dry when we start talking here, because there's a lot to talk about. Anyway, I'm going to try and get this video done as quick as I can. I can see we're already 5 minutes in. Not a great start. Anyway, coming in, number 55. I won't be counting down even again. 55, 54, 53, because I'll lose track of the order. But anyway, I'll let you know when we get to the halfway point. Coming in at number 55 is Ringo Starr's Bad Boy. I'm not a fan of this album. The reason being is because there's a lot of great classic songs on here. Like Where Did Our Love Go, which I love. The 80s version is brilliant. And I don't know, I just don't like Ringo's versions on here too much. I mean, it's just not a very good album for me. Now, I know there's some people out there in the Ringo kind of, support Ringo club. And I do support Ringo. I think he's very heavily underrated. But, you know, I know there's a lot of people in that group who actually do enjoy that album. And I really do tend to stick up for Ringo as best I can. But that album there, never really connected with me. Anyway, coming in next is going to be a Paul McCartney album. It is the Russian album Chopper B CCCP. There's only one song on here which I ever enjoy playing, and that's the opening track, Kansas City. The rest, all covers, very rushed, very underproduced album. I think they've done most of these songs on the spot. Just not an enjoyable album, really. It's very blah, you know. Okay, next one up is going to be an album which I have reviewed, and it is John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Sometime in New York City. Now, if you guys remember from that video, I liked the track New York City. I didn't mind Sunday, Bloody Sunday. That was okay, I guess. The Luck of the Irish was okay, but the rest of this album, again, I know there's some people, you know, in the kind of John and Yoko, who like John and Yoko together, who do enjoy this album. And, you know, I respect that. You like the album? Good. I'm glad it's got some people who like it. But for me, it's just not for me, this one. But it's got a couple good tracks on it. Still, it's not a complete waste of time for me. And the next one up is going to be a most recent release from Ringo Starr, and that is Postcards from Paradise. I do hear Ringo's actually got another record in the works for early 2017, and apparently it's going to be with his All-Star Band. So yeah, I'm game for that. I really want to see him do an album with his All-Star Band, actually, because I love the other members of the All-Star Band. And Ringo was on a great comeback. You know, Why Not was great. 2012 was pretty damn good as well. And this album here just really sunk for me. I just didn't enjoy it that much. And again, I know some people enjoyed it, so, you know, I respect their opinions. I'm pleased some people enjoyed it. But for me, I don't know. I think this album here was a bit over the top for me. I'm at that point now where I'd like to see Ringo try and write some more interesting lyrics and some more interesting songs. And get a bit more creative and a bit more risky with his stuff. And it seems like he's just doing the same old now. And it's like, you know, it's a good sound. I like it. But it's getting to the point now where it's like, we need to go in another direction, I think, Ringo. We're going down one road. It'd be nice to see you try something a little bit different. But anyway, it wasn't an awful album, that one. Next up is actually going to be another Ringo album. It seems like I'm being really harsh here on Ringo. But don't worry, I have put some Ringo stuff quite high in the list. So we'll get to some really positive things about him. This album here, never connected with. Never. And it's unfortunate because a lot of other people do like it. And that is my copy of Stop Smell the Roses. Yeah, you know, I remember getting through this album thinking, it's pretty average all the way through. I was like, yeah, it's good. It's not wowing me. It's good. And then the bit which really sunk me below was the back off Boogaloo redo, which I hated. And it really just made me feel like, well, the whole album was pretty average. And then it closes with that dreadful number. And I like the original, but it didn't need to be remade at all. But he did it. And yeah, just not very good album, I don't think, that one. And then here we get to a rock and roll albums cover by the legend, Mr. John Lennon. Yeah, I loved this when I first played it, I'm not going to lie. I love the catchy rock and roll stuff. Reminded me of Please Please Me era Beatles, you know, the very start, the very early Hamburg kind of stuff. Which was great, but however, it's an enjoyable album, this. It is actually very fun, very upbeat. But how good is it, really? I mean, it's just covers. And they're very simple covers, very simple versions of the covers. And the fact that John was drunk through most of these sessions, you can actually very much hear it in how simple the album is. And it's a fun album. I don't want to bash it too much, but really, there's not too much happening on this album. Okay, so the next one up is going to be my first entry from George Harrison. Look at that. I mean, The Quiet Beatle. We've had 2 albums from each of the Beatles now, I believe. Is it only... Well, we've only had one Paul one, actually. So, but, you know, and the only one we haven't mentioned yet is George. So, George, good start. But anyway, here we are with Dark Horse. Now, this album has grown on me a little bit. For those of you who've been watching my new series, Music Nights, in the first Music Night episode, I talked about this album. I played it and gave my immediate reactions afterwards. And my opinion on this album is, it's a grower. I think it is a grower. It started off very shaky. Finishes a little bit shaky, but it has some great tracks in between, and I love the title track, Dark Horse. I know his voice doesn't hold up well on it. The title track is great, though. It's got some other good songs on. Yeah, not a bad album, really. Not a bad album. It's a grower. Every time I play it, I tend to like it a little bit more. However, I don't think it will get too much higher on this list, but it might overtake the next couple albums at some point, in my opinion. And the next one up is going to be another Paul McCartney entry, Give My Regards to Broad Street. How do I feel about this? Well, it was purely, you know, just to help the movie out. To help the movie sell. Which it didn't, really. The movie was a bit of a flop. The movie, how do I feel about it? The movie, I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but it is completely pointless, really. However, the redo songs are good. He put kind of an 80s twist on them, a lot more echo effects. They're interesting. Interesting songs. A couple new tracks on here, which are great. And yeah, he kind of connected a few Beatles songs together, which I liked. And yeah, it's an interesting album. Very, very interesting. Not very good, really, but it's an interesting one. And the next one up is another Paul McCartney one. It is Driving Rain from 2001. Driving Rain kind of stands out like a sore thumb to me, because I really feel like since the 90s through to today, Paul's 2000s albums, and 90s and 2000 albums, have been incredible, you know. Off the ground, great, loved it. Flaming Pie, absolute genius. Run Devil Run, a little bit shaky, but you know, he was kind of mourning, you know, at the time, you know, Linda's passing and whatnot, so understandable, so we'll forget about that one. Chaos, Memory, and New, fantastic. Kiss on the Bottom, while it's not a great Paul album, it's a very fun, very interesting album. So he's been on a huge roll lately, but this one here is just stuck right in the middle of them, and it's like, where'd that one come from? But anyway, there's a couple really good tracks on here. The opening track, Lonely Road, it might be on the CD version, but it should have been on Pure McCartney. Love that song, great. From a Lover to a Friend's good, Magic, Rinse the Raindrops. There's some good stuff on here. I think people like to pick on this album a bit too much. It's an easy target. It's become an easy target. And while I'll sympathise and say half the album is absolute rubbish, I'm not going to lie, the other half of the album is actually pretty good, pretty creative. So, I think people just pick on that one a bit too much nowadays. But anyway, here we go around with another very creative album here. A very surprising album. If I was back around in, what year did this come out? I think it was 71. It doesn't have a date on it. Anyway, I think it was 71. I would have been shocked at this album. Boo Coops of Blues by Mr. Starr. Great. Well done, Ringo. Love it. I really do. This is a very good album. Very interesting to see Ringo go in this direction, and I salute him. You know, John and George, you know, they very much stuck to their roots in their careers. Paul kind of was a bit experimental. You know, he done some orchestrated stuff in the 90s and then done his Standards album in 2012, Kiss on the Bottom. But it took Paul a while to get there, whereas Ringo was like straight into his solo career. He's like, yeah, I've done the rock and roll. I've done the rock. I'm going to try something a bit else. I'm going to do a jazzy one. I'm going to do a country album. Well done, Ringo. Good album there. Not great, because it's, you know, if it was great, it'd be much higher on the list. But I respect that album a lot, because I think Ringo was incredibly brave. I think he was the bravest Beatle in the early days. I think he went out on a fantastic note with his solo career. Well, they all did, to be fair. But Ringo, I respect the most, actually, I think. You know, at the start of their solo careers. Next one up, a lot of people are going to be like, how can you put this so high? Because this is actually quite high for this album. But, again, another album which I think people pick on too much. I've actually grown to like this one quite a lot. That's Press to Play. Yeah, that 80s album from Paul, which everyone avoids. Opening track, Stranglehold, brilliant. Footprints, like it. Press is incredible. Pretty Little Head's good. I know there's a couple other tracks on here, like Move Over Buster, Angry. Very good. But it's a very good, very enjoyable album. I think it's a very fun, upbeat album. It's one that you can sing along to and have a lot of fun with. So, yeah, I think people won't be too harsh on that one. Anyway, having another drink. We're going to pause. Okie dokie. We shall continue. The next one up, the next two up, in fact, are very interesting. We're going to go back to Ringo. We're going to talk about his Boo Coops of Blues again and say how brave he was for doing that album and how much I admire that. And we're going to talk about the album that came before, Sentimental Journey. I've actually had my photo done outside this pub. It's like literally one corner away from his house. It's like literally a 30-second walk away from his house as a child. Literally, on the other side of the road, his house would be like you can see a row. Can you see the row of houses just going down here? His house like directly opposite on the road, on the other side of the road. But anyway, that was a fun little fact there. Anyway, I really like this album. His version of the title track is incredible. Sentimental Journey, one of Ringo's best songs. Bye Bye Blackbird is great. I'm a Fool to Care, I really love his version of that. Dream is great. This is a good album. And for people who just judge Ringo on the kind of cheesy late 70s and early 80s stuff he was doing, I say this, you know, that stuff there is typical Ringo. If you want to hear Ringo try and be creative and do some experimental stuff, which I think he should be doing today, go to his early stuff. This is a great album. Really good. And then, just a teeny weeny bit better, I feel, because this album here has Diana Krall on, who is a fantastic jazz American songbook singer. Paul McCartney's Kiss on the Bottom. Now, I'd actually love to put this album higher, but it's like, it doesn't really capture the feel of a solo Beatle. So that's why it's a little bit lower. But this is great. You know, you've got Paul with Diana Krall and her band. You've got appearances from Stevie Wonder and my personal favourite musician, Eric Clapton. I mean, come on, can't go wrong there. Got a couple new songs. My Valentine, which is the one in which Eric performs on. Only Our Hearts, which is the one that Stevie Wonder performs on. The whole album, you've got Diana Krall there. Fantastic. This sounds like a Diana Krall album, just with Paul singing. And Diana Krall's great. Paul knocked it out the park with that album. Great. Next one up is a very underrated album, one which is very hard to come by and you don't see about often on vinyl, CD, digital download. You don't see it at all, this album. And really, it's very unfair because it's actually got some very interesting numbers on. And that's Ringo Starr, Old Wave. And really cool. This album here actually inspired the title of Jeff Lynne's 2012 first studio album in quite a while. Long Wave. You know, Jeff Lynne actually likes this album. Jeff Lynne, okay, this one's called Old Wave, I'm going to be called Long Wave. So yeah, I mean, I only found that out recently. Not many people know that, so that's quite cool. There are two tracks on this album which really stand out to me. In My Car, fantastic, love it. And I keep forgetting. I mean, people just keep forgetting that song. It's a great song, I love it. So yeah, really do like this album actually. It's very surprisingly very good. Next one up is going to be Paul McCartney's Run Devil Run. Yeah, interesting album, interesting. I don't know, again, it kind of feels a bit unusual and, you know, being where it is. You know, as I say, Off the Ground, Flaming Pie, Chaos, Memory Almost Full and New were just incredible. Do you like how I miss Driving Rain out there? But this one doesn't really have... They all kind of sound similar. You can tell the progression through them albums. This one's kind of in the middle. A bit like a Sore Thumb, really. But it's good. It's got some good stuff on. What ones do I like? Run Devil Run, the title track's okay, but I can't understand what he's saying in it half the time. My favourite tracks on here are actually... It's the closer to side 1 and the opening to side 2. The middle part of this album is incredible. You've got Lonesome Town, which is great. Try Not to Cry, which is incredible. Movie Mag, which is also incredible. His cover of Buddy Holly's Brown Eyed Handsome Man is great. And What It Is great as well. So I love the middle part of the album. The opening, not great. Closing, not great. The middle of this album is brilliant. Really is. Okay, next one up is going to be 2012 release from Mr. Starr. Here he is, geniusly titled 2012. Look at that, that's so creative. Well done, Ringo. I like it. It's good. He redoes Wings, and I never liked the original track version of Wings from Ringo the Fourth. Great. This version is phenomenal. The music video is great. This song is brilliant. Love it. Anthem. Great. Enjoy that one a lot. Thinking Over, the Buddy Holly cover. Great. Good job, Ringo. Samba. Great. Rock Island Line. Great. And then we get side 2. I like the closing track, Slow Down. Step Lightly. Didn't need to be redone, really. Wonderful's pretty good. In Liverpool. So it's, I think, side 1 opens up great. Side 2 kind of just, but, the A side is almost perfect for Ringo, really. It really does sound incredible. Next one up is another George Harrison. Look at this, George. He's doing well, isn't he, our boy George? He's not getting many entries here. He's doing very well. But anyway, here he is with 73. Oh, no, I'm well off. 70. No, it can't be 75. This was earlier. Oh, God. I can't even remember the year of this one. It says 75 on my copy, but that can't be true. Anyway, it is 30. I nearly said 33 at the bird. Oops. Extra Texture by George Harrison. Yeah, love the opening track here. That's great. The one thing which annoys me on this, though, people always say he whines on this album, but yet people love the track where he whines the most. Don't get that. Anyway, the answers at the end is great. This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying, probably the best one on here. World of Stone's great. Yeah, B-side's not very good, really. Again, it's about the A-side on this one. But yeah, interesting record there from George. Next one up is going to be the first Wings album. And I like to stick up for this one. I think it's better than what a lot of people say it is. But yeah, it is the weakest of the Wings albums. And that is Wildlife. Here it is. So basically we can forget about the A-side, because the A-side really isn't very good. Mumbo. I like the tune. I kind of like the beat he's gone for, but the screaming down the mic, it's not Paul. Bit Bop. Fun, silly little love song. Not love song, just a silly little song, really. Silly little love song. There we go. I'm talking about Wings at the Speed of Sound already. Love is Strange. Don't mind that one. Wildlife. I think that was them, kind of forcing their animal rights on people again. But then the B-side is great. Some people never know. Great. I Am Your Singer. Great. Tomorrow. Great. Dear Friend. Great. So the B-side. This one, it's about the B-side. Okay, next one up is going to be Ringo again, and here we are with Rotogravure. Interesting album, first Ringo album I ever owned. Yeah, it's pretty good, I like this one. Favourite tracks, I like Cooking. Lady Gay, that one's good. Hey Baby, that one's good. Doesn't do the ooh-ah. So, I respect Ringo for that. And here is Ringo the Fourth, an album which I think people are too harsh on. People love to rave about Stop Smell the Roses and Time Takes Time, and it's like, well, where's Ringo the Fourth? I think that's a lot better than Stop Smell the Roses, in my opinion, because Drowning in the Sea of Love is one of Ringo's best tracks. Tangle All Night is great. Wings, much prefer the 2012 version, but it's there, it's good. So, yeah, I like this. Pretty good album there from Ringo. Okay, another drink now. Look at this, we're 20 minutes in. I was thinking this video would be about 30 minutes, but we're not even halfway, so I have a feeling we're going to go over. But anyway, next one up is, of course, Pipes of Peace by Mr. McCartney. And, yeah, I like the title track, that's great. Say, 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 fantastic song, fantastic duet. Shame I can't say the same about The Man, because that song is... So Bad is great, Keep Undercover. My favourite track on here, though, is the closing track, Through Our Love. Easily in my top 5 Paul ballads. I know a lot of people are going to, how can you say that? But I am. I love that song. Great. Next one up, George Harrison again, Somewhere in England. Here we go. This is a very good album still. Really, from here on, I would say all these albums are good. I'd say, I'd say the last few are pretty good as well. But these are where the solo Beatles album starts to get really good, This one's great. You got Blood from a Clone, which is great. I love that track. Life Itself. All those years ago. Teardrops. Oh my god. I love that song. That one's funny. Well, your Hong Kong Blues, very interesting, like that one. So yeah, very good album there. Next up, of course, this might actually grow on me when we hear the reissue, which is to come this year. That is Flowers in the Dirt by Mr. McCartney. Again, love this album. I just have a problem with the Elvis Costello numbers. Doesn't make much sense because I love Paul, I love Elvis Costello. I don't know how that makes sense, but I do love the opening track. The opening track, My Brave Face, great duet, but a great duo between Paul and Elvis Costello. Works really great. You got Rough Ride on here. Distractions, We Got Married, put it there. Figure of Eight. This one, How Many People. Very good, very good. Oh, hang on, a low battery warning on my camera there, which is not good. But anyway, Flowers in the Dirt, good album. Next one up, an incredibly underrated album. Incredibly, people bash this album. I don't get it. I really don't. First time I played this album, I thought, yeah, this is weird and wacky. But it reminds me so much of Ram. It's like, how can people put Ram so high on a pedestal? And I do as well. I think Ram is great. And while this album isn't massively high, you know, it's just coming in under halfway on my list. So obviously I don't think it's as good as Ram, and it isn't. But why some people then put it right at the bottom of their lists, I don't get. It should, you know. Anyway, it's Red Rose Speedway. I do really love this album. The opening track, Big Bum Bed, is great. My Love is great. Only One More Night, Only One More Kiss is great as well. Like Single Pigeon, 2-minute little daddy number, but it's fun. And of course, you've got the medley at the end. And people keep comparing it to Abbey Road. Don't compare it to Abbey Road. Abbey Road is one of the best albums ever. It's obviously not going to be as good, but it is still good. It is still enjoyable. But then you get the track Little Lamb Dragonfly, which is Paul and Denny Lane at their peak together. Sound fantastic. Love this album, really do. Next one up is going to be what I consider the comeback album for Ringo, and that's Why Not. This was a great album for Ringo. He came back and he showed people that he can still perform. And unfortunately, Postcards from Paradise didn't help that reputation out too much, so he needs to come back from that one, I think. And then here we got another Ringo album. We've got Time Takes Time, and I should have waited to do this video because I have the reissue of this coming from America. In the UK, it was so expensive, so I ordered it from America. But anyway, I'm looking forward to getting the reissue of this album because I really do like it. Jeff Lynne. Jeff Lynne, that is all I'm going to say. You know, people who take the time to listen to all the solo Beatles albums and they have yet to check out Jeff Lynne, you must go do it. I'm going to highly recommend to solo Beatles fans, especially of this era of solo Beatles, late 80s, Travelling Wilburys, go check it out, Jeff Lynne's Armchair Theatre. It sounds pretty much very similar to this album, George Harrison's Cloud 9, and the Travelling Wilburys albums. But in my opinion, I think that Jeff Lynne's Armchair Theatre is probably better than all them albums. So go check it out. It is incredible. So to everyone who likes this period of solo Beatles, late 80s, early 90s, go check out Armchair Theatre because you're guaranteed to love it. You're going to fall in love with Jeff Lynne and the Electric Light Orchestra like I did. So highly recommend you go check that out. But anyway, we're getting off track. Let's go back to Ringo. Weight of the World is fantastic. Runaways is great. What Goes Around is really good as well. Very, very good album there from Ringo. I like it. And I love the cover. That's a badass cover for Ringo. Brilliant. Oh, we're nearly at the halfway point. So anyway, these next two albums I consider back to back. We've got John Lennon, Milk and Honey. I love the Lennon tracks. You know, they're great. I'm stepping out. I don't want to face it. Nobody told me. Borrowed Time. Forgive me, My Little Flower Princess, a bit wobbly. And then Grow Old With Me, which is a beautiful, beautiful closer to Lennon's career. And then here we've got Double Fantasy, which I have just reviewed if you want to see in detail. And all the Lennon songs on that one are just classics. So. And even the Yoko stuff on that one's pretty decent. Next up, we've got a Wings album. We've got Wings at the Speed of Sound. Now, I know if I was around when this one came out, this would be more higher in the list, because a lot of people have sentimental feelings towards this in the VC. I get it, but I wasn't around when it came out, so I don't have the sentimental feelings that everyone else has. And to me, it's just a fun, innocent album. It's definitely not Paul's most creative. It's not his most experimental. We all know this. But it is just a fun, solid album. And for entertainment-wise, it's fantastic. You know, you've got Let 'Em In, The Note You Never Wrote, She's My Baby, Beware My Love, best track on the album, Silly Love Songs, Must Do Something About It, which Must Do Something About It and Beware My Love, like my two favourites on here. But yeah, this one might have just got above the next album I'm going to show, but the reason it didn't is because of Cook It House. And I'll say no more. So here is the next album. London Town. London Town. This is a great album. The title track is fantastic. Cafe on the Left Bank is great. What else we got? I love Denny Lane songs. Children's Children and Deliver Your Children. Fantastic. Fantastic tracks there. You got Girlfriend on here as well. I've Had Enough, which is brilliant. With a Little Luck. Classic. Best song on here for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's a Famous Groupies. I like that one. That one gets a little bit annoying at times, but it's still a fun song. And two more till we're at the halfway point. We got another Wings one. We got Back to the Egg. Beast of an album there. Great. You know, we got so many good tracks on here. I could spend forever on this one, but I love the closing track, Baby's Request. And then, just missing out on the halfway mark, we have George Harrison's 33 1/3. Very mixed bag, this one, I feel. You know, you got half the album is pure brilliance, and the other half is just, it's good. Not great, it's just good. So, but very entertaining album, that's for sure. And that's the halfway point. So, we're going to move on to the second half of the records now. Okay, so coming in at number 23 is going to be Paul McCartney's Off the Ground. Another heavily underrated Paul album. I see a lot of people in the 90s catalogue going to Flaming Pie, Run Devil Run. And while I say yes, go to Flaming Pie because it's clearly the better album. This one needs more attention. If you like Flowers in the Dirt, you're going to like this. I really feel like it's like almost exactly the same as Flowers in the Dirt. Just they've taken Elvis Costello out. They've put a lot more effort into the recording of the songs. And it just sounds a lot more clearer and more interesting. Love the title track. Hope for the Future is great. Biker Like an Icon's great. Get Out of My Way is great. And Come On People is great. And of course you got Hope. Did I say Hope of Deliverance? Can't remember. But anyway, there's Off the Ground. Next one up is going to be Ringo Starr's Good Night Vienna. Sorry, nearly forgot it. Again, like the album before it, Ringo, which we will get to later. It's as close as we're going to get to a Beatles reunion. You've got all the Beatles coming in and chiming in here. You've also got Elton John on this one. I think Billy Preston's on this one. But yeah, really great. Some great tracks on here. Great album. Here we've got George Harrison's Gone Tropo, another album which I really love. And I really think is heavily underrated. I love the track Wake Up My Love. That's the Way It Goes is great. Gone Tropo is brilliant. Dream Away is good. Circles is good, but Circles just doesn't fit this album. Should have been on an album before this, really. It should have been on somewhere in England or something like that. But anyway, good album there. And then here we get McCartney's debut into the 80s, McCartney 2, which is a great album. I really respect this one because of how independent Paul was when making this album. Yeah, it sounds fantastic. We got Coming Up, Temporary Secretary, On the Way, Waterfalls, Nobody Knows. So the entire A side is just great. And the second side we got Dark Room and One of These Days, which I really like. And the other tracks are all pretty good as well. Some good instrumentals on there, I'll say that. Here we got John Lennon's Walls and Bridges, another fantastic Lennon album here. This one here just sounds incredible. You've got Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Perfect. What You Got. Can't go wrong there either. Bless You, Scared, Number 9 Dream. Best track on here. Brilliant. Steel and Glass, Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out. So yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Love it. Great album. And here we've got George Harrison's Living in the Material World. I keep checking it. It's like I do know the titles, I promise you. Great album to come out after his debut, which of course is incredible, and we will get to that. But yeah, this is a great album, really is. Such a solid album. You've got so many great things happening on it, like the opening track is fantastic, the title track is great, Sue Me, Sue You is great, fantastic. Love that album. And then here we've got Mind Games by John Lennon, one which a lot of people kind of brush over, I feel. A lot of people go to Walls and Bridges, and while I love Walls and Bridges, as we just went over, I actually do prefer this album a bit. My favourite track on here is probably... Ooh. I'd probably go the third track. I can never pronounce it though. Assumerson, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's it. Assumerson, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But I love that song. That's probably my favourite track on here. Also love Mind Games. Bring on the Lucy. Out the Blue, that one's good. Made me think of Electric Light Orchestra, Out the Blue then. Yeah, there's ELO again. There's ELO again. See, I keep mentioning that ELO come up like 3 times now because if the Beatles went on in the 70s, I really feel like they would have sounded very similar to ELO. So, anyway, next one up is going to be the debut album by Mr. Paul McCartney. The opening track's good. Lovely Linda, very fun little innocent song. Every Night's great. Man We Was Lonely. Ooh You's great. Teddy Boy's great. Maybe I'm Amazed is brilliant. And Cream Ackerel. I love that. That is one of Paul's best instrumentals right there. And here we got the self-titled George Harrison, which is really an astonishing album. Absolutely astonishing. You've got Love Comes to Everyone, which is a good song. I really loved it. Until I heard Eric Clapton's version on his 2005 Back Home album, which is actually better. Sorry, George Harrison's fans. I, love George's version. But when I want to hear that song now, I go to Eric Clapton's version. Not Guilty is great. Here Comes the Moon, which is kind of his little nod and wink to Here Comes the Sun. Blow Away, which is fantastic. Faster, the Formula 1 song he done, which is fantastic. Dark Sweet Lady, Soft Touch, and If You Believe is a great closer. So really, really solid album there. And then here we get our last entry from Mr. Starr. Here he is, his debut album, Ringo. Which is absolutely incredible. I love this album to bits. It really is generally just a fun album. There's nothing to dislike on here. You've got all the Beatles on here. You've got Harry Nilsson, Billy Preston, Jim Kelfner. You've got Klaus Vormann on here. There's a plane going over. Really? Really? When are they ever that loud here? Okay, anyway. You've got Steve Cooper. Oh, I'm missing a couple names, I'm sure, but there are just some absolutely incredible people in this album. It's fantastic. Fantastic album. Okay, put it there. Running out of room now. Next one up is going to be Venus and Mars by Mr. Paul McCartney and Wings. Have I ever heard an album open up so good? Not really. I mean, this album opens up incredibly well. There's a few albums which open up brilliantly. Sgt. Pepper, A New World Record, Derek and the Dominoes, Venus and Mars. This has a great opener, how it builds tension through the opening track and then goes into Rock Show where it just lets it all out, which is going to rock away. And you got great tracks on here like Give Me the Answer, Magneto and Titanium Man, kind of nod and wink to the Marvel superhero comics, which of course today is blown up all around the world, so I think that's become a pretty popular one among some younger people here in the Beatles community. Then you got Letting Go, which is great. Spiritual Rage in Egypt, Medicine Jar, Call Me Back Again, Listen to What the Man Said, which is brilliant. Treat Her Gently, Lonely Old People. Yeah, a little bit of a weaker one to close on, I think. But that's a solid album. I love it. And we got 2 more and then we're in the top 10. So here's George Harrison's Brainwashed, just missing out in the top 10 here. What an album to go out with. Just what an album. This is really a pure geniusness, brilliancy here. So yeah, this album has Any Road, Vaccination Blues, Pisces Fish, Looking for My Life, Raising Sun, Marwar Blues. I've just listed the whole A-side. Stuck Inside a Cloud. He covers, well actually him and Eric Clapton wrote it together, but Eric Clapton of course made it famous on his 1989 album Journeyman, Run So Far. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, Rocking Chair in Hawaii. You know, this album here rocks. It really is a fantastic album. Really kind of feels like a bit of a Cloud 9 Part 2. Anyway, just missing out in the top 10. Number 11 is... Sorry. Paul McCartney's Tug of War. Very close to the top 10. Hey, that's not bad out of 55. Number 11. That's pretty good, really. Massive success. Fantastic for Paul there. Absolutely love this album. The title track, Take It Away, Somebody Who Cares. You know, the tracks with Stevie Wonder on here are great. I love Ballroom Dancing, The Pound of Sinking and Wanderlust. Them 3 tracks are great. So yeah, really, really solid album there from Paul. Okay, we're into the top 10. I'm pretty sure this is 10 anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, this is 10. Number 10 is going to be Paul McCartney's New. So this, of course, fantastic comeback for Paul, really. I mean, he'd been, the last album he done was in 2007, and while that was a great album, it was very interesting to see Paul come back with a very modern kind of sound. Brilliant. Love this album. This is a solid, just incredible, fun, upbeat album. Really is. My favourite tracks on here, I'd probably go Alligator, Queenie Eyed, New. Appreciate's probably the best one on here. Looking at Her and I Can Bet. Really, really great album there. Just love that one. Next one up is going to be Mr. John Lennon here with Imagine. Title track's fantastic. And you also have some other brilliant songs on here. This is just a really solid... It's a classic album, this. I try to put classic albums up on my wall in picture frames. Like I've got And Then There Were Three by Genesis, Long Distance Voyager by Moody Blues, Paul McCartney's Ram, just here. Over there on my other side of my wall, I have a picture disc of Derek and the Dominoes, Cream, Disraeli Gears, and then Fleetwood Mac's Rumours, The Electric Light Orchestra Blue, and then underneath I have John Lennon's Imagine. So, for me to put it up on my wall, I kind of consider it a classic. It is a fantastic album, and I love it. Okay, next one up is going to be another Paul McCartney one. We've got Memory Almost Full. So here it is. This is kind of like part 2 to Chaos and Creation, I feel. Kind of like the songs he left off. But I'm kind of pleased he did, because I'm not sure how well these would have worked on Chaos and Creation, because this is definitely a more upbeat, more fun album. Dance Tonight with the mandolin is fantastic. You've got Ever Present Past, See Your Sunshine, which is probably my favourite on the album. You've got Mr. Bellamy, That Was Me, Feet in the Clouds, The End of the End, and the little fun little instrumental kind of track on the end, Nod Your Head, is also really fun. Really good album there. It really is. I love that one. And here we have the album before it, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. Absolutely incredible. I love this. I think Paul should do another album like this. Nice, slow, ballads, moving one on the piano. Not as slow as Kiss on the Bottom, but not quite as heavy and fast as that one. Just in the middle at this album's pace. It's brilliant. So yeah, I love this album. Fine Line is brilliant. How Kind of You, Jenny Rain, At the Mercy, Friends to Go, English Tea, Too Much Rain, A Certain Softness, Riding to the Vanity Fair, Follow Me, Promise to You Girl. This never happened before, and anyway, I've just read out the whole album. Love it. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so what, we top 5 yet? No, one more, then we're on top 5. So coming in at number 6 is going to be George Harrison's Cloud 9. Yeah, this is a great album, this one. Fantastic entry for the 80s. George went into retirement, he went out of the music business for a while, and it was like, oh God, what's he going to come back with? How's he going to sound? Perfect. Absolute perfection. George come back with one of the best comebacks ever. This album was incredible. He had the Traveling Wilburys stuff going on. He was working on helping Jeff, I think, with some of the writing for Armchair Theatre and whatnot. He didn't play a big part in that album, I know that. But I'm pretty sure he had some impact. He was helping Tom Petty with Full Moon Fever. He was getting involved with some Roy Orbison, Bob Dylan projects. Fantastic comeback for George Harrison, really was. Also, of course, doing helping Eric Clapton out on Journeyman with the original version of Run So Far. And of course on this album he also had Ringo Starr, Eric Clapton and Elton John on this album. So yeah, George come back with a very good comeback. Top 5, here we go. Now I know for a lot of people this would be some people's number 1. Number 5 though isn't bad out of 55 I'd say though. So, dun 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 dun, Band on the Run. Here it is. This is probably the most famous solo Beatles album. You see it in every pound bin, every dollar bin all over the world. And it is incredible, you can't go wrong with it. I know some people say they've heard it too much and the songs are a bit repetitive. Whose fault is that if you've heard it too much? I mean, come on, let's be honest here. It is a classic album. Every song on here is so much fun, so enjoyable. My personal favourite on here would probably be 1985. Fantastic album. Okay, I'm going to have another quick drink. Nearly done the whole bottle now. We haven't got much left. Okay, number 4 is going to be our last entry from John Lennon. Number 4 is Plastic Ono Band. This is an incredible album. It opens up with Mother, which is brilliant. And then you've just got a whole bunch of other classic Lennon tracks like splattered about here and there, which sound fantastic. And then I love the last track, God. I think that's incredible. I know a lot of people love to bash that, and it's like, yeah, I kind of get why it's bashed. You know, it's a very controversial song, but I love this album. This album is fantastic. Top 3. So coming in at number 3 is going to be Paul McCartney's Ram. Here it is. Just reviewed this. I think it got an 8.8 out of 10. So if you want to see me go into detail on this album, go check out my video. This is a great album, really is. Very creative, very experimental for Paul. There are very few tracks on here which I don't like. This is a solid, fun, brilliant, genius album. Incredible. Go check it out if you haven't already. Fantastic. Number 2 is going to be my last entry from Paul McCartney. And yeah, Flaming Pie. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, Ram should really be before that. And that's fair enough. You know, Ram is great. This is great. You know, but at the minute, I do prefer this album. This one's a bit more fun for me to kind of, you know, pick up my guitar and jam along to. You know, you got Song We Were Singing, which is great. The World Tonight, which is fantastic. Some Days, Young Boy, Calico Skies, Flaming Pie, Souvenir, Little Willow, which is heavily underrated, Beautiful Night and Great Day. You know, all of them tracks are fantastic. There's a couple weaker tracks on here. I can't lie. There are a couple which bring the album down a bit, like If You Wanna and Really Love You. But the other songs more than make up for it. So yeah, I love that album. Fantastic. There can only ever be one number 1. I've always said that this is my favourite solo Beatles album. I said it in my Q&A. I've said it in previous Q&As. George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. Yeah, you can't. This is incredible. You can't beat this. Why am I showing you the back? There's nothing to the back. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this one, really, because if you haven't heard it, it beat all the other 54 albums. So I think that in itself is enough to say you need to go check it out. But yeah, this has My Sweet Lord, What Is Life, Isn't It a Pity, Behind That Locked Door, you know, it's the Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp, Beware of Darkness, Let Me Roll It, you know, Let It Roll, sorry. Yeah, I could go on and on about how good this album is, but most people who's watching this video, I'm sure, knows how good it is. So yeah, my favourite solo Beatles album goes to George Harrison there, with All Things Must Pass. Oh god, I need to lie down after that. That is all 55 solo Beatles albums there, from least to best. Wow, I did it. I did. Oh god, wow, that was incredible. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a message, and I will see you guys next time.